Up next is a man who leads by example. He's passionate about education and the well-being of all his fellow human beings. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Mr. Darnell Washington.
I want to talk to you today about being a leader. To be a good leader, you have to be a good motivator. And what better way to motivate someone than to let them know you believe in them? Well, my uncle Darnell, he let me know he believed in me when he told me, when you graduate, not if or do your best, but when you graduate, I'm gonna buy you whatever you wanted. And that motivated me to value my education as well as others. I grew up in a very close-knit family and we spent a lot of quality time together. I was especially close to my two cousins, Dwight and Damone, because I had no brothers and they were both younger than me. I always encouraged them to stay in school and to do good, just as my uncle told me. I will always remember the day my uncle took me to school on his motorcycle because I had missed my school bus. Before leaving, this is when he told me, when you graduate, I'm gonna buy you whatever you want. At the time, I was in the 10th grade at Canoga Park High School. But before my 10th grade year was up, my uncle Darnell was murdered. Despite Darnell's murder, I was still able to stay focused on my education because I still wanted to make him proud of me. At Canoga Park High, I played basketball, which I really enjoyed. Due to our hard work and dedication to practice, we made it all the way to the high school championship at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. It was a great experience I'll never forget. I was voted best defensive player on my basketball team, as well as prom prince and best dancer by my fellow senior classmates. I'm sure Darnell would have really been proud of me after these accomplishments. After graduating from high school, I went on to further my education at West Los Angeles City College. Tragically, in my first semester, my 15-year-old cousin Dwight was also murdered. He was walking down the street with his friends when a car pulled up to them. Dwight leaned down to look into the car to see who it was, and one of the gang members in the car pulled out a shotgun and shot him in his forehead. After viewing his body and seeing how he was shot, I was so hurt, angry, full of rage, that someone could shoot my 15-year-old cousin in his face like that. That I could no longer stay focused on my college classes. I just wanted revenge. So I dropped out of college and I started gangbanging. After years of gangbanging, not caring how it was destroying my community, my family, as well as myself, I was arrested, charged, convicted of first-degree murder, and sentenced to 35 years to life. Day one, when I got to prison, I told myself I needed to turn my life around. I started going to church because I was brought up in the church. Plus, being on a maximum security yard at Corcoran State Prison, there wasn't much else to do. My security points went down for me working and staying out of trouble, and I was then able to go to a lower level prison. First, the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo, California, and then here, the San Quentin State Prison. At these lower level prisons, there are a lot of self-help groups there. So I got involved in all the groups I could to deal with all the issues I had. Like Criminals and Gang Members Anonymous. While in C.J.A., I remember watching a video of a young man talking about how his victim mother was saying that her son was such a nice guy. And the young man was upset because her son was a rival gang member. At the time, he didn't understand the impact of his crime. Till one day while he was in his jail cell, he happened to look out of the back window, and there was a graveyard there. He then realized that the young man he murdered was buried right outside his window, because he would see the young man's mother go visit the gravesite every Sunday. At that moment, my heart opened, and I realized that the destructive lifestyle I once lived would have a long-lasting effect on the people I harmed, their families, and their communities. I also attend Restorative Justice, where I gained so much insight about the impact of crime, listening to survivors' stories of their healing journey. Well, while I was at California Men's Colony, I ran into one of my young homeboys who was 13 years old when I left the streets, and now was 21 years old in prison with a 15-year life sentence. Knowing that he would be going to the parole board soon, I asked him, did he have his high school diploma or GED? He said no, but he said he was enrolled in a GED class. So I told Robert that when you pass your GED test, I'm gonna give you my work paycheck for being a porter working in the building, which was $20. Robert went on to pass his GED test, and I went to the canteen, and I bought him $20 worth of food and told him I was really proud of him. I realized that this was a good way to give back and be a positive influence to others. So a couple of days later, I went to our workout area, and I told all the youngsters there, if you didn't have your high school diploma or GED, if you would enroll in that class, I would give you my $20 pay number as well. They said, nah, Mo, are you serious? Yeah, for real. Well, so many of them enrolled in the class and started passing the test at the same time that we had to change the agreement since I only got paid $20 a month. So instead, we agreed upon that I would just make each of them a meal and buy them a pint of ice cream. I just really enjoyed watching them eat and celebrate together and telling me how proud their parents and grandparents was of them. And just seeing the excitement in their faces that they had accomplished something so positive. This has showed me it doesn't take much to make a difference in someone's life, no matter where you are. Before being transferred from California Men's Colony here to San Quentin State Prison, 15 of those young men had passed their GED test. Now, I know some of you may say, wow, that $20 really motivated these young men. And I'm sure it did. But I believe the true motivation was the word when, which goes all the way back to my uncle telling me when I graduate. Not if or do your best, but when. Because that let me know he believed in me. And I'm sure that these young men felt the same way. That despite the bad choices they made, somebody believed in them. And that was more valuable to them than the $20 because they had no problem with changing the agreement, which shows their unselfishness because someone took the time out to believe in them. So when you leave here today, I would like to ask you to take the time out and sit face to face, not email, not text. Sit face to face with someone you care about and let them know how much you believe in them and watch the joy and the excitement that you bring to their face. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Nelson Mandela, which states, "What counts in life, it's not the mere fact that we've lived, it is what difference we have made in the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we've led." Thank you.